We looked at cameras like this WVP-55 and other models 50, I think WVP-30. Had a good look inside and out. Now moving on to another one that's in the same series. This is WVP-100, the big fancy one. Thought I had a nicer condition one of these. Thought I had one of these that was in nicer condition, but this is what I could find at the time. WVP-100, and we've got the service manual for this one as well. But not only that, I've got here something that looks very similar. It's a National Color Video Camera VZ-C90, which is Japanese version. So it's a very similar model to the WVP-100. Has most of the same stuff, but there's a few differences, like these additional controls here. And this one doesn't have autofocus, whereas this does. It's got that same kind of ultrasonic autofocus that we looked at on the previous videos. Alright, we'll start off with this one. We'll have a look at what kind of things it has. It has a lot of crust on it. It's exciting. The viewfinder is removable. And that cable, the wire from it plugs in there. Viewfinder connector, and then camera remote connector. And I reckon that thing that we saw in the WVP-50 manual last time, which showed an interesting camera remote. It was in this section. No, it wasn't. It was in the last section where the parts lists were, because it has exploded views. There, it showed the VTR remote control, but you see it's got two plugs on its connector there, but that doesn't seem to be what you'd find on the camera. That camera does not have two sockets, so it seemed a bit weird, but I remembered this camera does have two sockets there and there, and I reckon this remote can plug into that, or there's a different version of it for this model. There is a different version of it for this model. You see it has two plugs on it. The viewfinder connector, which passes straight through, and then you plug the viewfinder into it, and then the remote connector. It's got that same plug on it, which plugs into both things, and then it's got a viewfinder socket on it, so you can plug the viewfinder into it. See, whereas this one, they must have just shown the wrong wire there. Let's have a look. EW0205. Doesn't seem to have the part number of it. Strange. Anyway, I'm not sure. It's just a bit strange. So the remotes are different. It's just that I think the part of the drawing is the same and is a little bit misleading. CRT 40JB4. Pretty much every camera that has the larger CRT viewfinders has that model or an equivalent. Anyway, we're getting off course. It's a video camera. It's a National Color video camera, and it has quite a lot of the same stuff we saw on the previous cameras. It's just bigger. Bigger is always better, isn't it? So we've got a zoom lens, 12.5 to 75 millimeters. There's focus, zoom adjustment. There's a macro. There's an autofocus on that, which is the ultrasonic autofocus, which you can turn on and off. And then when it's off, you can click that button to do like a one-shot autofocus. There's the indoor-outdoor filters over the lens, so that outdoor it will make the light a bit orangey to help your white balance. And that might be broken because it doesn't feel very good. There's the white balance set, which puts a little frosted filter in front of the image path to help give you an average view of the light for setting autofocus. fade from black and to black when you start and stop the recording. There's an iris control, it's auto in the center and close and open when you turn it. There's a color balance control, red to blue. There's zoom, speed, fast or slow, automatic gain control on and off. And the VTR polarity switch in the bottom there. Now around the back there is another type of VTR remote connector. I wonder now, since we're here, no, that is a different one to what you'd see that plugs directly into the VTR. I guess it's, yeah, it's the same one as what's on there that we looked at, which, yeah, takes the other type of remote. Yeah, see, that's a camera remote, that's a VTR remote, different things. So on the back there, there's an external microphone input connector, there's a earphone connector, standby 1 and 2 and on selection, and there's a power LED indicator. Around on this side, got telescopic microphone, which is pretty nice. Foam is still in somewhat functioning condition. That can be removed by doing quite a squeaky thing. Yeah, that's not very nice, is it? Okay, and then that unplugs a little, like 2.5mm phone jack there. Then viewfinder connector and camera remote connector. Viewfinder is removable by doing that. It's its own separate unit. Then we've got the hand grip here. We actually push this in and it swivels down. And there's a power zoom control there. And there's a record start stop button there. And that's kind of a shoulder pad thing. Now, this whole assembly can fold down by undoing these screws here. That will move down, which then allows you to unplug the lens. Interesting, it has two connectors. There's one called focus and one called lens. Presumably the lens one does the auto iris and maybe the zoom. No, I'm pretty sure this is a C-mount lens. Like just C, that's it, nothing special. Yeah, C-mount lens. Now, do those filter things work? Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going out of the way enough, but it's very mushy feeling, but yeah, they do work. Something's quite light now. Alright, so we want to test it out, so we'll just put the lens back on for the time being so we can juice this up and see if it works. But before we get to that, we'll have a look at the other model. Quite unwieldy with this handle thing that it's got. Okay, just put that back on so we can check also the viewfinder function. We'll fold that out of the way. Now this version, very similar but different lens. VZ-C90. So that's got the fade, the iris control, the color balance, automatic gain control, the zoom speed. That's all the same. The white balance setting, the indoor outdoor switch. Ah, but look, there's these. We didn't look at these on this one. I've glossed over it. So it's date, time, date and time on screen display, tape counter on screen in the viewfinder, then check normal, negative, positive, which I guess is to do with the titling stuff. So that's all good. There's a reminder not to point it at the sun because you'll burn it straight away if you do that. Now, there's a difference here. That has nothing there. Whereas this model, C90, has got these controls here. So that's all the same business here. Does it? They might actually be different. No, it's just they're in a different order. The check negative positive thing is there rather than being the bottom row. Interesting, not sure why. What additional controls do we have here? It's a remote control, like VCR remote control, insert editing, presumably insert, recording, playback, and then there's playback functions here, reverse play, forward play, slow search, and reproduction, which I guess is the review button to just quickly go back and have a look and play back the last recorded bit of the tape. So that is different. There's extra controls there, and it has a non-autofocusing lens, which I'm guessing means, yeah, look at that. It only has one connector there and no provision. So the lens only has one wire coming out of it, not two, but it also has no provision on this camera body to plug an autofocusing lens in. That's a bit bizarre, isn't it? They're actively preventing you from adding additional features to this. So yeah, it must be a different model. Well, yeah, it's a different model. Not really sure what. WVP-100 POW model. Maybe there's a WVP-80 or 90 or something which has the manual focus lens. You've probably noticed there's no tape or recording device on these because, you know, just a video camera. And if you want to record, then you'd need to get or bring along your own video recorder like this EW0205 Action McLeod portable video cassette recorder, and that has on it camera connector. So you connect your camera up to it and battery in there, and carry this around and record the pictures from your video camera onto full-size VHS tape. This is a NV100 equivalent, the AG2400. It's a Japan NTSC version. Or the other thing, which is what we're going to be doing today, is you can use camera AC adapter like this, which plugs into power and it's got a camera connector on it, and that will let us hook it up to a monitor and see what it's all about. So I'm going to put it to on, bring this in so we can see it. I think it just worked. Anyway, let's go. Looks a little bit like it works awesomely. Look at that. That's the good stuff right there. Not really. That's the white balance setting. That's closing the iris. Gain control. Power zoom works. See, it's... I assume that's power supply problems. That noise on there is the kind of interference like bad capacitors are going to give you. It works. It just doesn't work very well. Interesting. I don't know if there's much else we need to try out on this. Let's try the power one and see what it does. Pop that to the side. What I'm going to do is, after this we'll take them apart and see if there's differences inside them. Alright, so that's switched to on. Let's fire this in the hole and see what happens. Quite a bit less stuff happening. Oh no, look at that. Some stuff happening. Whoa, look at that. That's got proper good quality color image. Viewfinder's all up and running. Oh yeah, negative picture. It actually makes the image negative. That's pretty good. And yeah, date and time, business, stopwatch. And the check button gives various things on the viewfinder. It says light OK, white, meaning we haven't set the white balance. Okay, we'll set the white balance. So it says light OK, white OK, and it's set to indoor, outdoor. So that's it, it doesn't give you much else. Oh, and then it tells you automatic gain control is on, autofocus is off. Okay, so check just goes through the current status of various things so that you can see in the viewfinder what's going on. Power zoom functioning, that's slow. Oh no, that's fast. And that's slow, quite a bit slower. Automatic gain control. Auto focus. Oh yeah, seems like that works, sort of. Generally functioning. Don't really have that many good test subjects, but yeah, this one seems to be working alright. The negative image is pretty interesting. Let's see what the negative image looks like on the NTSC model. Will that make the green be not green anymore? Pretty good startup, isn't it? Let's see, negative. Oh, look at that, it makes the green turn into a purple color. That's wonderful. That's the kind of stuff you need, isn't it? That's great. So if we looked at a purple thing, is there any purple things around here? I don't think so. Then it would make it look green. There's kind of purpley colored light coming from the as you can see, the graphics card fans are purpley colored now. Doesn't make it look green though, does it? Oh well. Well, there could be a way of setting these lights to a purple color, but that's blue. Anyway, interesting stuff. Still does the business. Just stopwatch. Oh, that's the date time. Looks like there's a title as well, that flashing thing there. Oh no, that's setting the... I don't know. It's a thing, it does stuff. And negative. It's very monochromatic still, but it can either be greeny coloured or purpley coloured. Wonderful! So the WVP-100 is generally functioning, it's just quite dirty. And the other one, C90, is not very functioning. Now, one thing I did notice as I was poking these about is the autofocus lens is quite a small lens hood, whereas the manual focus one is enormous. It's very similar to that WVP-G1 camera that we looked at. Was it G1? And F10. They were quite similar, huge lenses, and they're also quite similarly not autofocus. Alright, let's rip into these. So presumably all that autofocus business up here will be exactly the same as what we saw in the WVP-50 and 55 cameras. So there's probably not that much point in opening up that whole lens thing. We'll go look in this main area. Do we need to look at the service manual? Don't think the things that we would look at are any different to what we already looked at. It has the theory of operation, which They very poorly read out and described about there being some color filter stripes on the front of the tube, and then reads the amplitude of the signal, the cyan and the yellow, which filter the, like, let through the opposite colors, blue and green, red and green, and transparent is red, blue and green. So then depending on the cyan filter lets through blue and green. That's what that means, isn't it? And the yellow lets through red and green. Is that because red and green makes yellow? Depending on which line's being scanned, these colors are represented in the intensity of the signal, and then that gets filtered and mushed around, subtracted and added together, and you end up with an RGB, or you end up with colored different signals that then get turned into a composite video signal. Ooh, signals for driving the tube and the deflection, power supplies, vertical deflection, target voltage, cathode blanking, beam detect circuit, bias light, high voltage circuit, EVF amplifier, video amplifier, EVF vertical deflection, EVF horizontal oscillation, playback control, process board, pulse generators, which generates the sinks, all this stuff, subcarriers, wide blanking pulse, burst flag pulse, composite sync pulse, composite blanking pulse, vertical scanning start pulse, pre-blanking pulse, clamp pulse, horizontal scanning start pulse. All the timing for that stuff. And they get mixed together and used for various things. It creates a video signal. The optical black. You can get the dark current of the tube to offset that from the signal. Vertical edge. Okay, you can find that online if you want to look in more detail at what's going on. Let's take a look in the viewfinder to start off with. Get the ball rolling. I think I've already got one of these in bits. I had quite a few more of these cameras originally, and they've been scrapped, and I kept various bits of them, but they're scattered around the place. So I've already looked inside these, or this model, and what I know is that inside this, does it need that taken off? Is not very much, because this viewfinder doesn't have all of the circuit. It's just a very basic thing with a driver for the high voltage transformer and a bit of buffering for the driving the deflection and different CRT voltages, and that's it. And it has, excitingly, the mauve coloured electrolytic capacitor with crusty legs. So those ones really like to leak. Although there's also a normal dark blue coloured one that looks like its legs got corrosion on it as well. So that's a sign of things to come inside here. You know, the tube is sort of sealed up inside this thing, so it's harder to get at. But it's not unlike the other CRTs we've seen in other viewfinders. It's interesting that's kind of backwards there. The strain relief part's on the inside, not on the outside. And it all just kind of clips together. It doesn't have any like model number on this viewfinder. It's just a serial number, and that's it. Okay, let's look in the side. Not many bodges. One wire. Wonder if, yeah, there's some component in there. A resistor, I'm guessing. Maybe multiple resistors. Just mushing them about in a tube. Yeah, because it's solid wire at both ends, and I can feel a lump it in two places at least. So it looks like two resistors in series. Interesting thing. Now in the other side, I wonder if these side panels are identical. No, they're round different ways, aren't they? Yeah, because that dark bit is towards the back in both cases. Oh, look at that. Some bodges there. Another quite blue coloured board. What have we got here? Oh, look. That's coming out. Little bracket with the connectors on it. There's a bit more space in this compared to those more compact cameras. It's probably the same stuff though. Although now there's a bottom board there, and then ribbons, flex strip, a whole bunch of trimmers in there. Again, there the back part of all of the tube is quite sealed away inside shielding box, and then the target pickup preamp stuff down the bottom there. And there's an interesting thing. Look at this. Very interesting thing here. There is an electrolytic capacitor just clipped onto the middle there, with two red wires coming off one side and the other side going straight to the frame there, or the metalwork. What's that all about? It goes off to the front edge of the tube, so I wonder if that's like the power out to the bias LED. So it's got some smoothing right at the edge. Guess that helps to keep it stable. Other side, it's the image processing part of the circuit with delay lines. More of those mauve colored leaky capacitors. Little control panel up here, although that's attached. Much less bodges. Grounding wire going over the top there. Now the service manual will be able to tell us what those boards do. Let's have a look. Block diagrams, volume 3. The opening up of it. Deflection board, process board, microprocessor board. I'm wondering if microprocessor board is on the bottom. It's quite foldy outy thing. It does look like it because if you can see here, this is laid out in roughly the order of what we see, like looking down there into the camera. This board here being this one here. Process board is video signal processing. Signals from those switches. Iris adjustment board. You need that business down here. Then on the bottom, microprocessor board. And there's those ribbon cables that skip over, that one there, go over to the deflection board, which is where the high voltage business is connected. And there's a standby board, which is the one that's got that switch and LED on the back. And then there's correction board and EFV display board, which is just a connector. Okay, so correction board must be that one that's got all the trim pots on it, this thing here. That must be the correction board. That wires onto this. Yeah, into there. So it's got all the various corrections on it. It's interesting, isn't it? Wiring a bunch of signals out to trimmers. So it's got blue shading correction, red shading correction, dynamic focus correction, bias light shading correction. That's the signal names wiring into it. And there's a viewfinder board. So the signals to the viewfinder through the EFV connector. So what I'm wondering... sorry, we're getting distracted again. It says there, VTR remote control connector. So that's that little connector on the back edge of the camera there. But then it also says VTR remote control option. So that's what's fitted on this camera, is VTR remote control, and it doesn't have that socket. So I wonder if that just plugs into the same place that the where that connector would have been. Or it's saying the remote control option slides onto there. Oh yeah, we'll have to investigate that. Is this fitted? Let's look at that in a moment. First, EFV connector has got EFV vertical. The pinout for the viewfinder unit is EFV vertical deflection in 8.6 volts in plus 6 volts in, EFV video in plus 8.6 volts in again, but slightly different for standby ground, horizontal drive, and vertical deflection positive. Okay, so it's got, the vertical deflection is just wired from presumably from the deflection coil straight out to this connector. Horizontal drive is a signal that will drive the flyback transformer that's in there, and then also there'll be a transistor that we would have seen that then drives the horizontal deflection coil. Now the lens connectors, AIC damper out, AIC drive in ground, 1.8 volts, 4.8 volts, zoom wide and zoom tele, and iris position DC out. The drive and the damper, which go to the little iris servo motor thingy. And then the autofocus connector is auto man focus display out, so it knows whether you're in auto or manual by that switch. 12 volts ground, power focus in, auto man focus select in. So whether you're doing it or not, and then it has a display signal out. Interesting. Is that rough enough? Alright, so what I'd like to do is have a little bit of a compare to see if we can see any differences to this NTSC version. The microphone doesn't just come off by that weird screw thread thing, and also this doesn't. Interesting. Yeah, so I wondered, does this just pull off and it has the remote socket underneath it, so it could turn into the other model? Let's have a look at that. Nope. But a different one of these could possibly be put there. And it just plugs straight into that. So the answer is no for that. Alright, let's see what's in the sides, and whether that differs or not from the other one, this one. Whoa, the board color is different. Look at that, much more green, otherwise not the same. That area is different. That to that. Interesting. Yeah, this is that type of circuit board where they've put like an extra type of solder mask on the areas that have high density tracks running. So it looks blue in the areas where there are a lot of tracks close together. Not really sure what that was to do. Is it to protect it, or is that something that happened during etching? It's definitely not something that happened during etching, because it's put on afterwards. Whoa, look at that. Still got those bodges. Is it bodges, or is that just like some kind of connector thing? Are they bodges? So this side looks pretty much the same. It is not the same. Or bodges. Look at that. There is a capacitor like attached to the middle leg of that transistor there. That's pretty interesting. As on this model, it's not like that. They're next to each other. I think it's been a PCB update. Is there a part number on this? Yeah, here. A VPRB0801. VPRB00IEB. This is a bit different. It's quite similar, but it's different. That's a good answer, isn't it? And just for reference, the longer screw goes there because it goes through the plastic part of that. Yeah, and that also is a slightly longer screw because it's got an extra washer in the corner. Alright, I guess we'll just put this back together. But we're going to look in the other side too, just to see on the other side of the board. Oh, clicks back together beautifully. Oh yeah, look, here's the part numbers. VPRC, that's the same, and then this one's 0801, whereas this one's 0801JD. This one 1001EH, so fairly different, but then we knew that because we could see that they were different because there's different stuff on them. Oh, I put the wrong screw in one of the positions, didn't I? Is that true? I think I put one of the silver screws inside the camera. Oh, you gotta use the right screws. Yeah, that one there. Interesting, this one here, the Japanese one, is rated 12 volts 4.8 watts, whereas this one here, PAL version, 12 volts 5.5 watts. I wonder if that's the difference between having an autofocus lens or not. Probably the like running that ultrasonic transducer thing, and the motor is probably going to be constantly hunting the focus. Alright, final peek inside. Let's see what this has got going on. Well, I guess we can't tell because it's in that soldered shut metal box, isn't it? Different ICs there because it's different. There's another delay line there that isn't on that one, which means even that metal box has to be notched out here to fit that delay line, which it's, although it's different because it's got a notch coming out that side, which, well, it has it there, but it's shaped a little bit differently. Alright, how's that? Is that the most haphazard video yet about a video camera? Well, at least we got kind of 2 for the price of 1 today. They're getting a little bit repetitive because we've just been looking through a series of models of video cameras that are all more or less the same. So perhaps we should shake it up a bit next time and look in something a little bit different. But for today, there's a look inside the, well, look at and look inside the WVP-100N and the VZ-C90 National Panasonic video cameras. Good old ones that join up to your portable VCR. Stay tuned for next time and we'll take a look inside something else.